morning, my friends. It is good to see you again today. Let me tell you how nice it is to be talking to you from inside an air-conditioned home for the first time in, 4 or 5 days. You forget how much you take things for granted sometimes, right? You know, the privileges that we have, the fact that we have such... I don't care. Statistically speaking, if you think about this and you go do a little bit of homework, excuse me, I don't care who you are in America, you have a life that is 85, 90%. I think it's even higher than that, than almost any person living in the world today, the standard of living. And then you add on top of that the comfort and creature comforts that we come to expect. You know, so many places don't even have running water in the world. And yet, we're put out if there's a small problem. So again, it's an inconvenience not to have AC. It's an inconvenience not to have power, but it's not an impossible situation to be in. For sure. Good morning to you. Again, hope you have a good day started for yourself. I am Dan Gresham, and this is my house, hence it's called Dan's at Home. This is something that we have been doing for, months now. We're once a day, usually in the morning, sometimes more than once, because I also do newsroom updates where I'm sitting at the office, just want to give you a preview of what's going on, things that are happening in our world. And then I come home and this is a much more casual approach than what we do normally on television, which I like, and I hope that you do too. And we'll continue to do it for as long as you want us to do it. It's just that simple. But let me just jump in. A couple of things I need to tell you up front. First of all, this is a Facebook post. It is what's called a live stream. Means that we're doing it live, and it's streaming out to you and all over the world as far as that goes on the internet via Facebook. We also do this on YouTube, and we also do it on a variety of other platforms, but Facebook being the primary platform where we find you. So we love to have you post up because we can see your comments. We being me, I can see your comments this morning, like Tammy is always faithful. She's here this morning. Ricky Thomas is up with us this morning as well. Good morning, Ricky. Erica's up this morning. Let's see if we can get her post. There she is. Denise Thomas says, good morning to you watchers out there. Teal says, good morning, Needland, Texas. So happy kids are back in school and our town is doing good. Ready for Halloween. It is coming up quickly. Jonathan LeBlanc, good morning to you. Joyce, that's funny. I was just thinking about that. If it would have been 20 years ago, 40 years ago, when I first moved, I would have said Jonathan LeBlanc. But I guess we learn through time, right? And he'll probably will email me. He goes, it is LeBlanc. This kind of, when he calls somebody Abear, it's Hebert, or Hebert, it's Abear. Joyce, good morning to you this morning. Hi, Karen. Hope your day is off to a good start as well. Monique is here. Javier is here this morning. Tom says, good morning. He's going to be coming to Lumberton to visit. If you don't know, Tom watches this up in Illinois. So Tom, we'll look forward to your visit. Just let us know when you're in town. Gaynell Simpson Sanders, good morning to you. Hi, Loretta. I'm happy too. I hope everybody who doesn't have them will have lights soon. And we're going to talk about that coming up in just a couple of minutes. All right, so what else do we have planned for you today? We're going to talk about power outages. We're going to talk about early voting, how day one went, and what you can expect moving forward. We're also going to talk about the idea that the guys running for president are not the only races. Really, shouldn't you be thinking about some of these local races, some of the state races that are going on? Because don't they really affect your world probably more than maybe even the presidential race when you think about it? I mean, really think about it. We're also going to talk about seeing fall foliage in the state of Texas, and sweet topic to end the day. We may not end with it. We may throw it in early. Anyway, all that coming up as we head off into this Wednesday, the 14th day of October. Once again, good morning. Wow, it was a busy day yesterday for folks from Entergy. They were out. It's interesting. Let's go straight to the Entergy outage map, and I want to show you things are much improved from where they were. Of course, the company reporting they had, 109,000 people that were without power immediately after the storm. This is Entergy's outage map that anyone you can go to just as easily as I can. It wasn't that long ago when we looked at this, and let me just kind of give you a reference. There's Orange, there's Beaumont, and then there's South and Mid County and Port Arthur. It wasn't that long ago when we looked at this, it was just covered in red, meaning outages. This morning, you can see there are still some out there, but not nearly as many as there were. In fact, we can zoom into Beaumont and you can see, and the thing is, here's probably the largest area that we're looking at. That says there's 16, but you know there's more than that. There in that area, there's got to be more than that. But you can zoom in and probably get a better idea how many. There you go. That would probably tell you that there's 496 just in that, affected by one thing. So it could be a transformer. It could be it says a utility pole is broken. So they're replacing a utility pole. Could be a transformer. It could be a lot of things. But you see areas like that are fewer and fewer to be found across the city of Beaumont. Now, smaller outages, absolutely. But as you travel down 69 and you get into looking better in Nederland this morning, looking better in Port Neches and in Groves, but you can still see a number of spottage. Everywhere you see a purple square, that's an outage. And then, of course, you have a bigger block right there, which is 262 homes, again, that are waiting. And believe every one of those is somebody that's saying, man, I don't know if I can survive another day. But the good news is you can do it. And look at Orange County, only 2. Let's look at the county by county breakout and see what they're saying this morning about who's in and who's out. Jefferson County, right at 5,194. Orange has 11. Hardin County has 1. So the news is much better. But if you're one of those 5,000, which I was until 4 o'clock yesterday afternoon, I know where you're at. I know where it feels. It's an interesting that always seems to happen to me. I mentioned yesterday, you get to a point you're like, hey, you want to get in the car and go riding around, see if we see any energy trucks anywhere? And then the second thing that always seems to happen to me, the power always comes back on right after I put 5 gallons of gas into a generator, right? Then it's like, okay, I've got to figure out some way to either get the gas out of the generator or to keep the gas from going bad in the generator when I store it. But I want to be confident. I want to be positive in my thinking. We're done. We're done with hurricanes. Didn't work last time, so I don't have any reason to think it won't work this time. Loretta Champagne Jack is up with us this morning. She said, Tea Club. That's what I'm naming this live stream. Dan's Tea Club. Well, let me get rid of this so that you can see what I'm talking about there. Whoops, there we go. Loretta, you can call it whatever you want. Tea with D. Yeah, that's fine with me. We used to have a morning show, did a morning radio show. We called it the Coffee Club because literally that's what it was like, the Coffee Club. Paula Shepard is up with us this morning, watching from Groves. David McPeak, good morning to you, sir. Also, Catherine Babineau. Maria's up this morning. Linda's here from Woodville checking in. And Christine, no, it's Hebert. I know. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't matter where you're at. Whatever you say, it's always going to be the opposite because you're guessing at it, right? Catherine says, good morning, Dan from San Antonio, Texas. Still watching my hometown. Have a great day. Thanks for the news. Catherine, you're welcome. And glad you can keep up with what's going on back home. While Angela says, good morning from Nederland via San Antonio. Finally have power going home tomorrow. I'm with you, Angela. Not a bad idea not to be at the house when you don't have power if you don't have to be, because there's, other than sitting there sweating it out, there's not much else you can do about it. Carol Lingo says, hey, Dan, like the painting. Well, thanks, Carol. Appreciate that. I do this little update every day. I'll just show you real quick from my paint studio. So what you see behind me, there's, I just cover other things up. Got the morning coffee jug going here, paintings, canvases stacked up everywhere, and things go up, painting on the easel. And that's just kind of the way we do it, So it's a paint studio, but at the same time, it's also kind of the broadcast studio as well. So kind of a couple of different cameras showing you the different angles. All right, so let's get back to what's going on in the headlines this morning. We talked power outages. We're seeing some vast improvement this morning over that. The other top story of the day had to be early voting. Yesterday marked the first of the days. We started on the 13th, and you will have 17 days. You will go until the 30th, and that will be the last and final day for early voting. I can't say it enough. When it comes to early voting in the state of Texas, the requirements are very few. You simply have to be registered to vote. And then when you go to a polling place, early voting, you don't have to be, in your precinct, in your county. You can go, if you live in Beaumont and you happen to be working in Port Arthur, you could go to a Port Arthur location, vice versa. Or if you're in Silsbee and you want to vote, then you can drive over to Koontz. And it just, it doesn't matter. As long as you're registered to vote, they can find you on the polls. They can find you and you will be able to vote. And yesterday, yes, there were some very long lines yesterday. I don't know if you saw this one. They had some problems down in South County in Port Arthur. And the problem is they're running two elections in the city of Port Arthur right now. They're running the election, which is the local election, and then they're running the state and national elections. And it caused some problems. There were some technical issues. And it prevented people from voting for president, U.S. Senate, and other races for several hours. But we're told they resolved the problems, and you can go back and you can cast your ballots. You can do it in the city of Port Arthur's general and special elections, and you can do it in the county elections. You can do it in the state elections, you do it in the national elections. Everything has been worked out at that particular polling place. But you see the lines, and this was pretty commonplace all over Southeast Texas, that on the first day of early voting, people like to get out and get it done. But if you're one of those people, I'm not standing in a line, well, you don't have to. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe we'll all be standing in line. Honestly, that would be a nice surprise. If over the course of the entire time, the lines never died down, that there were always people going out to exercise their right. This is a hard-earned privilege to be able to vote. And it's only important that everyone goes, no matter what their choices are, that they have the ability to do that. But again, I think that headline pretty much sums it up. Voters show passion for getting out to the polls on the first day. Also, another story that we're following, of course, is the governor's limiting of one mail-in ballot drop-off location. We spoke about that yesterday. You can go and read that story. Also, while we're talking about early voting, I want to remind you that you can go. We have all the Jefferson County locations listed here on KFDM.com. But if you have a question, you can call the courthouse, no matter what county you're in, and they will tell you, where the various locations are. And you can see here, that it gives you the hours as well. You can click here and get information. You could do the same thing on our website for Hardin County. It will take you to the Hardin County website, and you can see all the different polling places there in Hardin County. Same thing is true in Orange County. There you go. You can go in and read all the things there, election information from Orange County, and they will give you the locations and the times as well. So hopefully, if you have a question, ask. Maybe you ask somebody maybe ask a friend, maybe you call the courthouse. But if you have a question, ask. It should not be that difficult. And I think some of the lines that we're seeing maybe look longer because we're doing social distancing in a lot of places now. So it makes the lines appear longer. But in some places, they were longer. They were wrapped around the building at some voting locations. All right, so we'll continue to talk about that. I also want to take just 5 more seconds, maybe a little bit more than that, to tell you, this is Texas Tribune. They've got a neat dashboard here that tells you how many days left to request a mail-in ballot, how many days until early voting ends, and when the general election is. But you can also go in and they have all kinds of things about what you might need to know. If you're feeling uncomfortable about going to vote because you're like, well, the COVID thing, I'm just not, follow the guidelines. 6 feet, wearing a mask, and if you're uncomfortable, tell the people there I'm uncomfortable about it. Maybe they'll come down, they can wipe down the machine, sanitize things, and you can still get in and check the box. All right. So again, those are just polling places, things you can go, ways that you can help yourself. I also want to encourage you, this time that you have now is where you educate yourself. I know you're saying, but I already know who I'm going to vote for. I know who I'm going to vote for. Yeah, you probably do when it comes to the President of the United States. But do you know who you're going to vote for when it comes down to the constable's race or the sheriff's office or for county judge, depending on where you live? Have you looked at any of the local races? What a shame to walk in with only one thought in your head, I'm voting for Biden or I'm voting for Trump. And you have all these other people who really affect your world because they live in your community. They're the people that every week are going to be looking after your welfare, whether it's taxes, I could go on with all roads, infrastructure. These are the people who really take care of the roads that you're going to be driving on every day. It's not the President of the United States, right? It's the guy who's sitting on the county commissioner's court. So know those races are out there, educate yourself, and make a decision. Don't be one of those people that walks in and goes, I like their name. Because you can't straight ticket vote anymore. You cannot in the state of Texas. So you can't just walk in and go, I'm going to vote straight Republican or straight Democrat. You're going to have to go through every one of the races. Now, you may pick based purely on party versus the individual. And that's why you will hear from a lot of independents, people who say, I'm not a member or affiliated with either party, is because their thought is, I'm going to vote for the person who's best for the job, not for the party, but for the individual. I believe it was George Washington who spoke about that many, many, many years ago, about the idea that party affiliation over individual affiliation, he had a problem with that. And I think some people will certainly understand why. All right. Also this morning, as I said, I want to end on a couple of nice notes. We've talked about some things, some serious things this morning, and certainly we will continue to do that. I was just checking on some other things right here. Remember, you guys can talk to each other too here in the comment section. You like something somebody said, then respond to it. But I was going to mention the fact that today is National Dessert Day, my favorite holiday for sure. Is National Dessert Day. But I was asking, I work with some very talented ladies every morning. We hope it's me and the producers. And I asked them this morning, I said, nobody knew it was coming. I said, little poll here. It's National Dessert Day. If you could only pick one dessert that you were going to have, the old last meal, if you were having your last meal on this earth, what would you have? Well, what would be your dessert? And some of the answers didn't surprise me, but some kind of jumped out at me. And I'll tell you one that I was not expecting, and it was not the ladies. It was Dana Melanson. So I said, okay, Dana, let me just put this up so while we're talking, you know what we're talking about. National Dessert Day. I don't know what kind of cake that is, but that looks pretty good. Dana Melanson instantly told me his would be a pineapple upside down cake. And I said, oh, what? He said, yeah, pineapple upside down cake. I said, are you talking about the kind, two old school guys here? I said, are you talking about the kind of the kind of upside down cake that used to have my grandma would make that had the pineapple rings on the top of the cake and it had the cherry in the middle of the pineapple. He went, that's the one. Exactly. He said, I love that cake. I thought, I hadn't thought about that in years. Did you ever have one of those? They were always so moist because it would take the juice out of the pineapple can, incorporate it into, I said, Dana, Dad, you have just, yeah. So, I mean, there are comfort foods we always think of, chicken fried steak or whatever, hamburger, whatever your comfort food is. But there are also comfort desserts when you think about it. His was, again, upside down pineapple. I would have never thought of that one, although I like the idea. Jillian Fertig was easy. She likes creme brulee. She's right in there with my wife. They both like creme brulee. But I'm curious for you, if you could only choose one, what would be your dessert of choice? Let's see, another common answer this morning, cheesecake. Always cheesecake. Yes, I got to bring this one up on the screen. Carol Duncan, who is my cousin Carol, who lives in Houston, says grandmothers were great. It's funny, Carol, because I was telling Dana the same thing this morning. I said, that was kind of the upscale cake from my grandmother. She lived in the country, but when she made cake, upside down pineapple was always on the list. And the other one that she always made, Carol, that I really liked, she would do a chocolate cake and chocolate pies. But they were like Hershey chocolate, not like, I'm talking about out of the tin can, like the powder. I don't know. I wasn't in the kitchen, but they always came out really good. But they had a very distinct flavor to them. So yes, you're right, Carol. Grandmother did make some great pineapple upside down cakes, and I still miss them to the day. But okay, so cheesecake was very popular. I'm trying to think of what the other one, key lime pie came up a couple of times this morning as well. Let's see what some folks are saying this morning. Monique Sutton says strawberry shortcake or lemon pie. Hard choice. Agreed. Mary Ellen says, yes, make mine in a cast iron frying pan. I'm assuming she's talking about upside down, right? Larry says pumpkin pie. Well, you're in for a treat because that's coming up soon. Saul says upside down pineapple cake on a cast iron is the best. Angela says chocolate cake with chocolate icing. Shirley James is a key lime pie person. Carrie Richardson says chocolate pecan pie. That kind of got me going. Chocolate pecan. Blueberry delight. Banana strawberry split pie. I don't think, Kathy, I've ever had that one. I think I need to try all these to see which one would be my favorite. That's what I'm beginning to think. Also, somebody says, I don't even know how to pronounce that. Maisha Molinda, oh, I love it. You gotta try it. All right. What else? Saul says, when I lived in Illinois, I loved buying, they're called Southern Pecan Pie up there. Okay. Mary Ellen says, too hard to pick. This one says, yes, indeed. Loretta says, if she just had one dessert, it would be Millennium Crunch from Bluebell. It is sinful, and you're right. It is good. Susan Guidry says, my grandmother made the best pineapple cake from scratch, cooked the filling on the stove and poured it over the cake. That's what our grandmother would do as well. Everything was scratch. I don't think there was any other way, right? And Mary Wofford says, cotton candy and candy apples, candy cake, have an egg allergy. Oh, that would be hard. And Lillian Brown says lemon pie or lemon cake. All right, I'm going to tell you, mine, when I sat there and thought about it, I think that my mother's Italian cream might be my dessert. And I mean, she would make that icing was so good and the cake was so moist. All right, so I'm going to send you out on that today, thinking about that for the rest of the day. You're going to be mad at me going, man, what did he do that for? Now I'm going to have to go. I'm jonesing for a dessert. I'm going to have to go get something. All right, but okay, let's send it off one more way. Maybe this will take your mind off of it. Or you could go get a piece of that great pie someplace on the road, take a road trip, right? 5 spots to see the most beautiful fall foliage in the state of Texas. This is on, if you want to go and follow up on this, this is from the Houston Chronicle or cron.com. And this is Sonia Ramirez's byline. So she goes out and she says, these are the places to see some great foliage in the state of Texas. Lost Maples State Park or natural area. That is a beautiful part of Texas if you have never been. Enchanted Rock, another one of those cool places to go in Texas. And I can imagine the foliage there near Fredericksburg would be pretty nice. There's Paladuro State Park. If you've never been out that direction, it's like you've gone to a different state. You know what I'm saying? It's so much different than our side of Texas when you head out towards Paladuro Canyon. Caprock is one of those places. They call it the Grand Canyon of Texas. They really do. Garner State Park, it's a pretty good one too. The Frio River, when you get out that direction, out towards Utopia, Concan. Guadalupe River, that's a pretty one too. I think it's one of those that's kind of overlooked. You know, it's such a short drive. If you're going to Austin or going to San Antonio, just take a little detour and go into the Guadalupe State Park. Now, I've always called it the Guadalupe. There are people who call it the Guadalupe. And I think in the state of Texas, for the most part, either one of those would probably work, right? All right, so listen, go out. Make it a terrific day today. Enjoy your day. Enjoy the nice weather. We got a cool front coming, so it's going to get even better as we head towards the weekend as far as temps go. I'm holding out for you guys who don't have power yet. You know my thoughts are with you. And I hope that by the end of the day, we can say that we have only a handful of people that do not have power when we're finishing up the day. Do me a favor, don't forget, hit me with a like if you don't mind, or you can also hit anything else that's on the screen there that feels appropriate for you as far as our update goes. We'll look forward to seeing you tomorrow. I want to remind you too, there are a lot of ways you can follow us, of course, here on KFDM's Facebook page. Also on Twitter, you can check me out, Morning TV Dan. That is my handle there on Twitter. And then on YouTube, you can go Dan's at Home. On YouTube, we post every one of our updates there. So if you subscribe, you'll be able to see them every single day. All right. So take advantage of this beautiful day. Go out and make the most of it. And we will look forward to seeing you back on KFDM TV and KBTV tomorrow morning. And of course, right back here for the At Home update. Go out and make it a terrific day, everybody.